When the Miami Dolphins fired general manager Chris Greer after their embarrassing loss on Thursday Night Football on Halloween weekend to the Baltimore Ravens, a lot of people expected that this would also spell the end of Mike McDaniel's time as the head coach of the team. And it's not surprising that people expected McDaniel to be gone. I mean, the man was making dumb decision after dumb decision. The man was losing games. The man was unable to elaborate on anything that he did. The man seemed to be losing the locker room with each passing week. And the man was seemingly getting worse as a signal caller, as a leader, as a coach with his responsibilities. Heck, during that Thursday Night Football game, he made a dumb decision that probably should have ended his Dolphins tenure right then and there. And you can learn more about that by clicking the card in the upper right corner. But somehow, despite Greer getting fired, the Dolphins did not make a change with McDaniel, allowing him to stay and finish out the season. Even though it's like watching a movie where you already know what the outcome is going to be. You know McDaniel is going to be fired at the end of the season. You know they're going to clean house and finally rebuild this thing the way that it should have been rebuilt a long time ago. However, just because you know something's about to happen doesn't mean it can't be entertaining. You know that Kenny is going to die in every episode of South Park. It's still super entertaining to watch though. You know that Dr. Doofenshmirtz is always going to be thwarted in every episode of Phineas and Ferb by Perry the Platypus, and that Phineas and Ferb won't get busted by Candace because the invention will just magically disappear. However, it's still entertaining to watch. And you know that Mike McDaniel is going to be fired at the end of the season and that the Dolphins are not going anywhere. However, it's still really entertaining to watch. And the reason why it's entertaining is because sometimes he'll do dumb crap like this.
Here's Achan, and he is stopped.
All right, it's 4th down. The game is all tied up. You can run this clock all the way down. Take 40 seconds off the clock, take the lead. You can minimize the amount of time that Washington has to equalize or potentially take the lead themselves. Just run this down, kill off 40 seconds, and oh no, that sucks. Achan is down. That is the worst case scenario. Now, you have to burn a timeout and can't take it all the way down. That's a bummer. That's huge. That's basically an extra 31 seconds to give the Commanders to work with when they get the ball back. Instead of getting with about 1:08 left, since the play clock started at 1:53, they're going to be getting it back with about 1:40 left. That is a huge difference. That's an extra 5 or 6 plays that the Commanders now have. I can't overstate how big of an injury timeout this was. Obviously, not McDaniel's fault in this one, but just to give you an idea of what this is, now you have to burn the timeout early. Here you go. The Commanders are obviously not going to be running the ball when they get the ball back because they don't have any timeouts, and running doesn't get you any chunk plays. And on the day, Marcus Mariota had just 157 yards passing, or 151 net passing yards, meaning that on 25 dropbacks, the Commanders were picking up just 6 yards per pass. This is not a team that goes down the field quickly. The only way they go down the field is if they have a ton of plays to be able to do so. If I give you a test and I tell you that you need to get 10 questions right on the test to pass, do you like your odds of passing better if the test is 15 questions or if the test is 25 questions? You'll take the higher sample size because you have more margin for error, and the same thing applies here. Calling a timeout with 1:44 left means that when you kick the field goal, there will be 1:40 left. Calling a timeout with the play clock at 0 means that you call it with 1:13 left, since the 40-second play clock started at 1:53. You kick the field goal, and there will be 1:09 left. That's a 31-second difference. Like I said earlier, that's about 5 or 6 extra plays you just gave the Commanders by doing that. If the Commanders get the ball back with 1:40 left and they get sacked, they can still regroup. If the Commanders get the ball back with 1:09 left and they get sacked, it's doomsday. If the Commanders get the ball back with 1:40 left and it's a short yardage situation, they can run the ball and move the chains. If the Commanders get the ball back with 1:09 left and it's a short yardage situation, they're not running the ball. There's a huge difference. Their entire offensive game plan and entire offensive philosophy changes as a result of this injury timeout. You give the Commanders more time to drive down the field, more opportunities to mess up, and more chances to get into range for Matt Gay or even take the lead. It just sucks that it had to happen, because obviously, this is not Mike McDaniel's fault. And for all his flaws, I don't think, at least I hope it's not true, but I don't think he'd be dumb enough to take a timeout here. But now, you've got to regroup and refocus. It's 4th down, and while there's more time on the clock than you would have liked, you're still in a good spot. We need to see the field goal try. I mean, it's a chip shot, so I know it's going to be good, and now your defense will have to defend and try to stop the lethargic Commanders' offense from getting 3 or even 7 points. It still sucks about the clock situation, but at least you got the lead. At least you...
4th and goal from the 1. There's Gordon, he's stopped! You what?
Are you freaking kidding me? You went for it? You know what? Screw it. Welcome back to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, yada, 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 Mike McDaniel, how are you so bad at your job? You decided to go for it? Didn't even take the 3 points and take the guaranteed lead? Here's the logic behind going for it. If you get it, great. You got the touchdown, and now the Commanders need to get a touchdown themselves in order to win it with not a lot of time left and need to march down the field. If you don't get it, the Commanders need a field goal to win it, but they need to march down the field a pretty long way. And if you get the stop, you're going to get the ball back with really good field position, since the Commanders are punting out of the back of their own end zone. And if that was what could actually happen here, then I get it. Believe me, I get it. And I do an In Defense Of episode and feel like you're being heavily maligned. But that is not the case here. Not at all. You have 2 timeouts left. If you don't get the touchdown here, the Commanders are getting it back with about 1:39 left. If they run the ball 3 times, let's say each run takes 5 seconds. The first down play takes it to 1:34, where you burn your second timeout. The second down play takes it to 1:29, where you burn your third timeout. The third down play takes it to 1:24, plus 40 seconds off the play clock to about 44 seconds. So if you get a 3 and out, the best case scenario is that you get the ball back with 37 seconds left and no timeouts near midfield with a kicker who does not exactly have the strongest leg or inspire the most confidence. Trust me, I've seen Riley Patterson kick, and he's got a noodle leg. When you're hitting less than 50% from 50-plus yards in today's NFL, and you've never made a kick longer than 53 yards, despite being in the league for half a decade at this point, and having plenty of chances to do it, I think it's fair to say that it's not Brandon Aubrey or Cam Little that we're dealing with here. So in the absolute best case scenario, if you don't get the conversion, you still need to get a couple of first downs and drive a fair amount of yards just to have a shot at winning it. And again, that's assuming that you get a 3 and out, which, as lethargic and as unreliant on chunk plays as Washington Summons have been all day, you had not forced one all game. In other words, if you don't get the touchdown here, you're going to be heading into overtime more likely than not. Want to know what happens if you kick the chip shot field goal? Oh yeah, you take the lead and basically win the freaking game. The Commanders have to go a long way just to get into range, since they don't have a great kicker, and they don't have any timeouts at their disposal. If you play it smart, don't call a timeout, and kick the field goal, they have about a minute left to just give themselves a shot. If the Commanders go roughly 65 yards at their own 1-yard line, if you don't get it, they win the game because of the field goal. If the Commanders go roughly 65 yards after you kick the field goal, they win the game on a touchdown. So wouldn't you rather have the option that puts you in front and pretty much gives you the win, barring anything crazy? It's the same yardage either way. Might as well give yourself the win. I get the analytics of going for it the 1. Believe me, If this was with tons of time left in the game, I'm 100% going for it, no questions asked. If this was the second quarter, or there were 6 minutes left or something, I go for it, and I don't think twice. Last week, Brian Dable kicked the field goal at the 1-yard line, and I thought that was really freaking stupid. But here, with a chance to basically win the game, with under 2 minutes left in a game like this, you kick the field goal and trust your defense to stop the Commanders from driving 50 yards in a minute with no timeouts. And you do that 10 times out of 10. And the fact that McDaniel didn't do that is nuts to me. And after the game, McDaniel spoke to the press about the decision to go for it instead of kicking the field goal. Take a listen to what he had to say, if you can even decipher any of this.
What was your thought process going for it instead of taking the points in that situation?
Well, I definitely thought you don't make that decision unless, I thought the play was going to work, and it didn't. But looking at it was about 147 or something with no timeouts, a field goal gives them the ball back. Their special teams is very adept at getting the ball between the 30 and 40, which would leave about 25 yards for a tying field goal, as opposed to going 60 yards when they're backed up. And so those are the type of situations that you try to do the best thing with the recourse of failure. And that was an example of defense stepping up. They held when it was most critical, and to get it 3 phases, a complementary football game where we got takeaways in 2 phases and didn't turn the ball over. It was an important win for our team. But yeah, I definitely would have made that call if I thought it was going to fail. But you also make that decision based upon the recourse if it doesn't work.
Okay, so after that word salad, where he went on about 10 different tangents, the logic still doesn't make sense. The Commanders get the ball back if you kick the field goal. That is true. You know how else they get the ball back? If you score a touchdown or don't score a touchdown. They're getting the ball back either way. There's no universe where they don't get it back. No matter what you do on 4th down, unless there's a penalty, you're giving the ball back to the Commanders. I also love how you said that you wouldn't have called the play if you didn't think it was going to work. That's good. You shouldn't call plays they don't think are going to work. That's obvious. And I also love how he said that the Commanders probably need to drive 40 yards to get a field goal and tie the game, and that's why he didn't take the field goal himself. But said the Commanders need to drive 60 yards to get a field goal and win the game if he went for the touchdown. Because that extra couple of yards really makes a difference in the grand scheme of things when it comes to a decision to literally take the lead with under 2 minutes left. The Dolphins won the game at the end of the day because this game just sucked and someone had to win it in overtime. But I don't care. Mike McDaniel's atrocious decision-making should have cost them. And at the very least, it cost them a chance to win it after 60 minutes. Especially with this asinine logic that seemed to go in circles and contradict itself with each passing move. So what did we learn from all of this? Honestly, at this point, just do the opposite of whatever Mike McDaniel does. Whatever McDaniel's thinking is a good move, just do the inverse. If he wants to go for the touchdown, kick the field goal. If he wants to sleep on the right side of the bed, sleep on the left. If he wants pancakes for breakfast, eat whatever the opposite of pancakes is, whatever that is. He's that clueless. And his days as a head coach are mercifully winding down. Not just for Dolphin fans, but for my own brain cells. If you've got a chance to take the lead with the other team having no timeouts left, and you're inside 2 minutes, then by God, take the lead. Don't get cute, just get in front. Don't get cute, just get ahead. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters who get exclusive perks like their name at the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.